staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello and welcome back today from Lucky's Shiny Side Out. That's right, 622, right? 220 and 600. Look at me, learning numbers. It's crazy what the old brain can do. Thank you so much for joining us for the second hour. Please do remember that this is Listener-Funded Radio, which means you can support the station. In fact, there's no other support but yours. So if you can donate, please do. Any currency is good, including crypto, of course. If you can't donate, you know what? Hey, I get it. Tell people about the station, that is, of course, and maybe they can donate. Because the more people you tell, the more people listen, the more people will eventually donate and keep those pesky electrons flowing through the copper. That's right, that's what we need. Now, we're back here in the studio after a brief sojourn into the countryside. That's not true, I'm lying. But we are talking about the Kozyrev mirror and time travel, as well as remote viewing. So this is going to be a fairly long show cycle, everybody. We started off last week talking about Kozyrev, the gentleman who invented the mirror, in fact. And it was the Soviet Union who used it to remote view. So, yeah, and we discussed this as well, Dave. I mean, throughout history, there have been stories of mirrors or seers that were using mirrors. I mean, Nostradamus himself was meant to look into a watery bowl. Yep. Of course, the water acting like a mirror. Mm-hmm. Soothsayers and fortune tellers still, use crystal balls to focus their attention.
Right. Yeah.
Magic mirrors are rife throughout all fairy tales and mythologies.
And science fiction.
That too, my friend, absolutely. So it is a familiar kind of theme with the mirrors, right? And we've always had this fascination with mirrors. And there are these magic mirrors as well in reality where that show an image depending on what kind of light you shine on it.
Yeah, the reflected light onto a surface will expose an image that's embedded in the mirror that you can't see.
It's really quite amazing. It's something. So look, it is fair to say, I think, that mirrors have always fascinated us. They used to be the province chiefly of the rich back in the day, because they're the only ones who could afford glass or crystal. Mm-hmm. Before that, of course, it was polished bronze or silver even that served as a mirror. But we're living in a day and age where mirrors are everywhere and bountiful, and quite unusual, that is. So, is the story true? Well, what we told you last week, that's all true. That's what we told us was happened. This Kozyrev, he was a Russian scientist. Okay, he was working for the Soviet Union at the time. They weren't really keen on failure, so he had to show something for his keep, and it turned out to be quite amazing. Now, there's a lot of misinformation out there that says, the Kozyrev mirrors have only been talked about in the 90s, etc. That's not true. It really did start much earlier, in the 50s and 60s. That's when Kozyrev did his work. Okay, there are patents out there against his name on the Kozyrev mirror. You can actually build it yourself. It's fairly straightforward and easy to do if you've got the materials. And it's aluminium that he used. Aluminium, if you can. That apparently he said that has the best properties for his intents and purposes. Now, we're going to jump right into this. Is an article from August last year. And Dave, if you want to do us the honors.
Absolutely. This is Unlocking Time, Unraveling the Enigma of Kozyrev Mirrors and Time Travel Experiments by Kieran McQuilkin. It's dated August 21st, 2023, so it's quite new. The enigmatic concept of time travel has entranced countless minds through its portrayal in science fiction and fantasy realms. Yet nestled within the pages of history is a narrative that blurs the lines between science fiction and reality. The captivating tale of Russian scientists who ventured into the realm of time travel with their pioneering experiments employing Kozyrev mirrors. Delving into the theories of Nikolai Kozyrev, a luminary Soviet astronomer, their audacious pursuits stirred both curiosity and skepticism. In this journey, we shall traverse the corridors of time, exploring the science between Kozyrev mirrors and their potential to reshape our understanding of reality itself. Just let's alternate.
Okay. Unveiling Kozyrev mirrors, portals to temporal distortion. Kozyrev mirrors, intricate spiral structures fashioned from aluminium sheets, chiefly, but not bound to that, emerges the centerpiece of the saga. Not merely reflecting light, these mystical constructs possess the power to focus a spectrum of radiations, including those that emanate from living entities. Central to this experiment is Kozyrev's hypothesis: time is not a linear, constant river, but rather a malleable force shaped by energy and matter. According to this groundbreaking theory, the mirrors could potentially introduce disturbances in the temporal fabric, allowing those within to encounter a reality estranged from the world beyond.
The epoch of exploration, Siberian scientists' odyssey. In the 1990s, a team of intrepid scientists led by Vlail Kaznachev and Alexander Trofimov embarked on a journey into the unknown. Nestled within the confines of the Institute of Experimental Medicine in Siberia, these visionaries sought to translate Kozyrev's theories into tangible experiences. Their audacious claims resonated like ripples through time. Successful transmission and reception of signals from past and future epochs using Kozyrev mirrors. Moreover, the mirrors purportedly elicited profound psychophysical effects in their subjects, a symphony of changes encompassing blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature, mood, perception, memory, and even consciousness itself.
Including an irrational fear. And this irrational fear we've encountered in other areas as well.
Deja vu?
People, yes, absolutely. When you encounter UFOs, when you encounter strange places, the Skinwalker Ranch is talking about irrational fear all the time. And sometimes cryptids seem to elicit that irrational fear, being confronted by Bigfoot, for example. It's just this bone-chilling, deep fear. But apparently it does go away with the Kozyrev mirrors after a while.
Wow. So
it does abate.
Mickey, when I read Whitley Strieber's book, I could only read a paragraph or two at a time, and tears would be streaming down my face. Not of sadness, but of this I'd never sought this experience before, and it was frightening. And just seeing that staring image on the front of the book was enough. But, wow, yeah.
But it was also a relief, right, that you're not alone, right?
That was the final thing. Yeah, that's what I took home from it.
I get it, brother. I get it. It's just it's powerful stuff.
I never realized that I had such a fear there to encounter, to have to, like, this repressed thing. So I can see that with this Kozyrev mirror, and I couldn't wait, to be honest, to build one and experience it.
Yeah, look, that's a little project, I think. I'll take on. We're going to build one. Now, but of course, there's always derision as well. The chorus of skepticism, which may or may not lead to an unraveling of the enigma. As the echoes of these groundbreaking experiments reverberated, they met with the symphony of skepticism, rather. The scientific community... Sorry?
I think you skipped one.
Oh, maybe. I did. The mirage of otherworldly experiences, the unfathomable encounters. There you go. Here we go. You can do the unraveling of the enigma. Subjects venturing within the embrace of Kozyrev mirrors recount a symphony of surreal experiences. Among the tales woven are glimpses of past and future selves. I found that fascinating. So apparently, you can actually interact with your past self. That's I'll talk about it in a second.
On your
Spectral
list.
apparitions of bygone events and even transcendental out-of-body sojourns. These echoes from the unknown challenge the very limits of human consciousness and reality, prompting a reflection on the intricate tapestry that intertwines our perceptions with the enigma of time. Sorry, before I hand it to Dave, when I was younger, I guess to some extent now, I always wondered if I would ever visit myself. Always providing a time machine was invented at some point. And how would I know? And the thing is, of course, now if I look at my younger self, being 10 years old, 18 years old, even 25 or 30 years old, I look, quite different physically from my younger incarnations. So I could pass as a complete stranger and never be recognized by my younger self, especially if I were wearing a beard. Now, I shaved my head now, and I have a beard. I never used to shave my head when I was younger, of course, and I didn't really favor a beard. So it's did I walk past myself at some point?
How would you know?
I think I did.
Well, you'll know in the future when you do it. Yeah.
At the time, no, but I think I may have. But look, tell us more, Dave.
Well, I've got a list, Mackie. I'm going to make a list of all the things that I should change. Anyway, or avoid, and the warnings, and I won't listen to myself, and I'll just do them anyway. A chorus of skepticism unraveling the enigma. As the echoes of these groundbreaking experiments reverberated, they met with the symphony of skepticism. The scientific community, armed with its discerning lens, questioned the methodology, outcomes, and interpretations that emerged. Accusations of fraud, manipulation, and fantastical delusion cast shadows upon the mirror's revelations. Critics, aligned in doubt, highlighted the divergence of Kozyrev's theory from the mainstream tenets of physics. Yeah, that's a big call out. Demanding proof and understanding of how these mirrors could orchestrate the very bending of time.
You see, of course that would happen, and I expect nothing else, because if you whenever anybody, and this happened to Einstein, it happened to Newton, it happened to Kepler and Galileo and Da Vinci and all the others, whenever you rock the boat and come up with something new, then they would like to burn you at the stake. Really, that's what they would like to do.
That's right.
I brought my marshmallows. But eventually, though, people come around. I feel that this may be one of those things. If we learn more, and now that people know about it, because there's a lot more material about this out there than there ever used to be. Maybe people start building their own mirrors, hopefully according to to the specifications, and they have their own experiences, right? Now, that's the dangerous thing, though, right? Should we let people? Well, not that we can stop it, but should people experiment with this? That's a really tough one, Dave. If you are going out and having these experiences, right? That's great, but if your mind is not ready, even though you think you might be ready, you build a thing, but you're a skeptic, and you may encounter things you don't like, because this is the thing, right? We seem to be living in a multiverse of probabilities. That's what they tell us, right? That's our latest understanding of quantum physics. Is we are living in a probabilistic universe, which means essentially that there is no anchor. There is no anchor, and the most probable universe is going to unfold. Right now, what determines what the most probable universe is? You do. What though if you are unhinged from, and I don't mean this in a negative way, what if you were to unhinge yourself from the common perception of reality, and you just, now the universe would conform, or whatever you see.
Coherence.
Yeah, but
the
to you.
collapse just is to what you think might be there.
Yeah. Just you. So it really depends on your mind in a way. I can see a future, Dave. This is sort of going on a sidetrack here, where there will be holidays offered to people into other alternative dimensions, realities, and essentially you don't know where you're going to go. I mean, because whatever, it'll open a portal, but whatever transpires, whatever collapses at the other end of that tunnel will be entirely your making. So I can,
wow, it's like Westworld, but a crazy time version. Dimensional version. Oh, there's a TV series. Contact us if anyone wants the rest of that story.
It was originated here on the Shiny Side Out. But I can see it. I can see it. Okay, so it's my turn, right? Okay. The unfolding. Is it my turn? It's my turn. The unfolding tapestry, right? An enigma beyond conventions, and you have to understand here again. And I just realized just how brainwashed I am myself. And I'll tell you what I mean. I watched Canadian Broadcast Corporation, CBC, the other day, and probably for the first time in a long time, if ever. And I was watching the Canadian Parliament debating, and before that there was a news story about the Mounties. And to me, it felt like I had tuned into another dimension. Because these were regular people, quite common sense. They made sense in Parliament. They seemed really nice and naive in a way as well, a little. And they were talking to each other and they were arguing. And then there was the Mounties. They had worked together with some international police force to do something. And then they had a panel of experts discussing some political issue in Canada. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It seemed like a different universe to me. And then I thought about this some more, and I thought I really am brainwashed into the Western American way of thinking and life, right? Even though I want to break through it, I still think of the Russians as not the enemy, but the other, right? Because all my life, I mean, growing up in Germany, trust me, that's the one thing you will take away from living in West Germany. And then, but no, because then you look at Russia, you look at Canada, look at other places which are very different. The surreal thing with the Canadian thing was they sounded like Americans to me. They sounded like Americans, but they're so not American.
That's right.
They're so not American. They're nice, and they used common sense. And nobody was screaming at anyone either.
I'm just filling in my passport application to move to Canada.
I know, right? And yeah, it was surreal.
Except I don't like Trudeau so much.
Well, now look, there's always an onion in the ointment. But it's the same. It's the same with Russia. It's a big country, with a rich history and scientific breakthroughs, and the science of the East was always segregated from the science of the West, even though they both worked on very similar things throughout the Cold War period, certainly. Yeah. And Kozyrev falls into the same category. I mean, you have to understand the Soviets. They were serious. They were just as serious as the Americans, maybe more so, right? In these undertakings, all the research into remote viewing, and into time travel, and into ESP, I guess, extrasensory perception. They were very serious. They had some success as well. But the point is that we all look at it all from most of us that grew up in the West, they look at it from a Western lens, from a Western perspective, which of course we must overcome. And because if you say Russian scientists, right, and people go, Russian scientists, okay, sure, okay. Whereas we should say,
a lot of okays.
We should say, okay, what did they find out? What was there? I mean, don't forget that these guys made it to space before the Americans.
That's right.
They put a man, first a dog, but then a man, into space.
Yep.
Yuri Gagarin in modern times, was the first human that we know of that circumnavigated the globe in space. Mm-hmm. So, and that sent shockwaves through America. So
first
these are
satellite,
serious.
first dog, first human into space.
Yeah.
They also they landed it on the moon, but without humans.
Correct. Now, bear in mind, okay, now these are significant scientific achievements. Yeah, mm-hmm. It was belittled by the Western world, of course, but so these are serious science type people. They science all day long, and they are diligent in their pursuit of excellence just as much as we are, right? mean, you can't compare, I guess, what's happening today in Russia necessarily with what used to happen. It's places are different, but even America has fallen well short of its former glory. Anyway, there's just an insight into how we should treat this when we hear about Russian scientists. They're just as accredited as any other scientist in the world. It's just, we just don't think of it that way. Amid the symphony of skepticism and wonder, Kozyrev mirrors unfurl as a chapter of science's most compelling enigmas. Irrespective of their veracity, they beckon us to transcend the confines of conventional thought, urging exploration of the uncharted territories that bridge time and space. As our minds grapple with the paradoxes inherent in time travel, we are reminded that these mirrors embody an audacious attempt to unlock the very essence of human existence, from the nature of consciousness to the fabric of reality itself.
Conclusion. Beyond the horizons of possibility. The tale of Kozyrev mirrors, whether a revelation or an elaborate riddle, captivates our imagination and challenges our understanding of time and reality. Much like the mirrors themselves, this journey remains suspended between skepticism and awe, inviting us to ponder the tantalizing prospects that lie beyond the boundaries of known science. In embracing the quest for time travel, we find ourselves in the nexus of dreams and discoveries, poised on the precipice of an uncharted realm where the threads of time may yet be woven into the tapestry of human potential.
Oh, it's very poetic.
I like it.
I like it too. I do.
I like this writer.
Nice. Yeah, look, it is. It does spark the imagination. Thinking of well. I mean, this is and it's easily enough done. I mean, if you think it's a nonsense and you want to prove it, build one. See, and if you equally believe that this could be a thing, build one and find out for yourself, right? No responsibility taken over here, depending on what you uncover. It's like taking a bad trip if you take drugs, right? Don't take drugs is my advice to you. Don't take drugs. It's my advice to you, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because chances are that you will take drugs in a context that will not be good for you, right? Okay, so that's just my advice to you. Don't, because I've had
as it opens up to professional manufacture and assistance, like if you were being treated for PTSD, the experience is traumatic to start, but it certainly turns out for the positive. And I know where you're going with this, Mackie. I think we all have a friend, who
100%.
who went somewhere and never came back.
That's what happened.
Mentally. Mm-hmm.
Mentally, yeah. So look,
or spiritually, I don't know which.
Well, certainly, the person that was in the
They
body
went up
before
the mountain and came down a different person.
Came down a different person. So yeah, look, that happens. It happens. It's a real thing. So caution is advised. Which brings us again to the mirrors of Kozyrev from an article of April 16, 2018. It's from peaked.com. The effects obtained when screening the space with the help of mirrors have not been explained, except for Kozyrev's published time theory, in which very few people have been able to, figure out. I mean, I don't think many of us are familiar with Kozyrev's time theory, apart from, I guess, people listening to this broadcast. So what is Kozyrev's mirror? Aluminium, less often glass, mirror, or even made of other metals, spiraling planes, aluminium spiraling planes, right? So just take a sheet of aluminium and bend it into a Fibonacci sequence shape, which is essentially an Nautilus shape, which, according to the hypothesis proposed by the famous astronomer Kozyrev, reflect the physical time, and the light can focus different types of radiation, including those originating from biological objects. So Kozyrev proposed that those mirrors that he built could reflect time particles, right, as well as radiation of biological objects. So look, we all give off radiation, right? And he believed that those mirrors could reflect pretty much everything. The usual design of Kozyrev's mirrors is as follows. A flexible mirror sheet of polished aluminum folded clockwise in 1.5 turns, inside of which is placed the test bed and measuring equipment. In the early 90s, such mirrors in particular were used to experiments in supersensitive perception conducted at the Institute of Experimental Science of the Siberian branch of the Academy of Sciences, with experiments supervised by academician V. Kazanashev, and there was another person as well, but the name escapes me now. In 1993 to 94, similar experiments were put in Kosmopoiske, which goes back to this topic. The results of the experiments are not clear. People placed in cylindrical spirals experienced a variety of abnormal psychophysical sensations, which is recorded in their research protocols. Honored, looking at events, including in other places. Last, there's jumbled text here. These abilities, according to the received data, sharply escalated inside the chamber from 2 to 3 meters slightly curved metal mirrors. According to Kozyrev's theory, the density of time inside the mirror room changed. Perhaps this also influenced the aggravation of supersensible perception, right? So, yes, there was this massive perception of fear, but it seems that the physical makeup of, I guess, the atmosphere triggered the heightened perception and might have enabled traveling into time. Or what they actually saw wasn't initially, it was like going into a tunnel, and as that cleared, it seemed that they were in this place either in the past or the future. And the past was easy to recognize for most of them because it was their own past. So they would always travel to their own past and to their own future, the subjects, that is, right? It's important to remember. People who stayed inside the cell for several hours completely feel themselves participating in long past historical events directly in front of them, right? As though it were a movie screen, but you could actually interact with the occurrences at the time. Okay. Now, how this all works, what the interactions are, mirrors, time, human consciousness, we don't know. Right? And we don't know if what they saw was real or not, because, again, there's no way to verify this experience, because the one thing that couldn't be done was take any recording equipment, it seems. Now, having said that, the experiments have shown that there is a certain danger arising from the use of an incomprehensible effect. And that is why the experiments in most cases were interrupted. Okay? Now, having said all of that, that's the official story. Okay, we don't know what really happened. But what we do know is that the CIA was interested, and we do know that the Soviets were interested, and I would be astounded if the work wasn't continuing to this very day.
Agreed. So, were the pyramids a time mirror?
That's the one.
Yeah, it sure is. June 25th, 2023. The pyramids of Egypt, with their awe-inspiring grandeur and timeless allure, continue to captivate the world's imagination. These ancient structures have long stood as enduring symbols of human achievement and architectural mastery. Over the years, researchers have tirelessly sought to unravel the mysteries shrouding their origins, purpose, and secrets they might hold. Recent breakthroughs in archaeological studies have shed new light on the age of the pyramids, suggesting a far more ancient timeline than previously believed. One intriguing theory that is yet to be speculated is that the pyramids might possess the extraordinary quality of being time mirrors, akin to the concept put forth by the renowned physicist Nikolai Kozyrev. Traditionally, that's a great connection right there, isn't it? Yeah, good find. Traditionally, the construction of the pyramids has been attributed to the Old Kingdom of Egypt, dating back to around 4,500 years. These colossal monuments were built as tombs for the pharaohs, symbolizing their eternal presence in the afterlife. However, as our understanding of ancient history deepens and scientific methods advance, fresh evidence challenges these established narratives, pushing the boundaries of our knowledge. Through meticulous excavation and radiocarbon dating techniques, researchers have unearthed compelling evidence that hints at the pyramids' age reaching far beyond the confines of recorded history. Some suggest that these magnificent structures could predate the accepted timeline by thousands of years, possibly stretching back into the realm of prehistoric civilizations. The implications of such a revelation are profound, as it forces us to reassess our understanding of ancient societies and the technological capabilities they possessed. Nikolai Kozyrev, a Russian physicist renowned for his pioneering work in the study of time, proposed a concept of a time mirror, an object or structure capable of manipulating time or acting as a portal to different temporal dimensions. This fascinating hypothesis suggests that the pyramids of Egypt might possess unique qualities that enable them to harness and reflect energy or vibrations, thus facilitating the manipulation of time itself. The precise alignment of the pyramids with celestial phenomena, such as stars and constellations, has long been acknowledged. However, when viewed through the lens of the time mirror theory, these alignments take on a new significance. It can be postulated that the pyramid's intricate design, mathematical precision, and orientation towards specific cosmic markers could enable them to access and harness temporal energies. If true, this would imply that the ancient Egyptians, or whoever built them, possessed a profound understanding of the fabric of time and its potential manipulation. Meki.
In the context of the time mirror theory, the pyramids' purpose expands beyond being mere burial sites for pharaohs. And look, we all know that they were not burial sites for pharaohs, because there was not a single pharaoh ever found in any pyramid, ever. No pyramids, ever. All Valley of the Kings, everybody, Valley of the Kings. They become conduits for the exploration of temporal dimensions, bridges between different epochs, or repositories of ancient wisdom locked within the folds of time. This remarkable proposition fuels the imagination and drives to seek further evidence and insights. Were these structures intentionally designed as gateways to alternate dimensions, facilitating travel or communication between different periods? Could they serve as repositories of ancient knowledge, accessible only to those who possess the keys to unlocking the mysteries of time? These inquiries spur a relentless quest for understanding, prompting interdisciplinary collaborations and technological advancements aimed at peering into the veiled recesses of the pyramid's hidden truths. As researchers continue to delve into the mysteries of the pyramids, the quest for answers intensifies. The age-old structures, already laden with wonder and intrigue, might hold even more secrets than we ever imagined. And someday, maybe someday soon, we can hope to unravel the enigma of the pyramids, peering into, or rather through, the veil of history, of time, and to reveal their true significance in the tapestry of human history. So, essentially, and look, this is a very interesting supposition here, and I'll tell you why. What we do know is that the ancient Egyptians underwent fairly significant initiation rituals, right, into the priest caste, even the pharaohs, etc., etc. And they would do so in absolute darkness to allow the mind to go free, for instance, right? Did they use mirrors? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Maybe they allowed the minds of the priests or the initiated, the people that were trained to do this, to roam into other realms. And maybe that's how the Egyptians got to pictorially describe their gods and goddesses. Right? Again, the Egyptians were pretty matter of fact. when they drew a camel, they drew a camel. When they drew an elephant, they drew an elephant. They looked like an elephant, they looked like a camel. There was just nothing stylized about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have another point to this in a second. So, is it possible that there was a
alligator-headed dude?
Yeah.
And a bird-headed dude? Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know, right? And maybe they were just masks or helmets. I mean, who knows? But the point is, again, there was just like the Sumerians, they depicted these gods being much, much bigger, taller than regular human beings, right? Again, harking back to many other things that we come across. So that, and again, if we accept that we're living in a multiverse of probabilities, there's nothing at all stopping universes to exist that have large humanoids, human beings in them, compared to us, that is, of course, right? And mythological creatures may not be mythological at all, but rather creatures, but just maybe not here, and maybe not anymore, and maybe they used to be here. Which brings me to a point I wanted to raise earlier, but I forgot completely, but it sort of fits here. In the Chinese zodiac, all animals are real animals, all of them.
Yeah.
Right? And the Chinese zodiac specifically only has animals, whereas the Western zodiac, of course, has a whole bunch of different folk in there as well, not just.
Oh.
Yeah, well, the water bear Aquarius is not an animal, right? Whereas the West is so the Eastern zodiac is all animals, but they're all real animals except for one, the dragon. So you got 11 real animals, and then you got the dragon. So again, you could argue, well, so what? Well, the zodiac is very important to the Chinese, right? I mean, you have no idea just how important it is. And yet, one of the zodiac signs is seemingly a mythological creature. How does this fit? If there was no evidence, no physical evidence of tigers, for argument's sake, all tigers are extinct, and we didn't find any skeletons of them ever, and there's no fur, and we have no fossil record of any tigers. Then there's stories of tigers, though, and these big striped cats which were fierce, bigger than lions. Bigger than lions. What? Nah, nonsense. But there's no physical evidence. This would also be a mythological creature, wouldn't it? So the question I have here, so looking again at the mythological creatures depicted throughout all cultures, Egyptian, Sumerian, Chinese, I don't care, South American, African, are they really mythological creatures? Greek and Roman mythological creatures. Certainly with dragons, I want to say there's, in my mind, a high probability that dragons were in fact here at one point. Maybe still are, just hiding. But to go back to the mirror, it seems that this mirror can access other dimension, other points in time, and maybe not so. It's not so much time travel, Dave, but rather dimensional travel, but into different times, as it were. So you're not actually going back in time in your own dimension, as it were, but you're going back in time in a neighboring dimension, for instance, right? Maybe the flow of time is different, and you can interact with yourself there without any consequences whatsoever, because it's not your timeline per se, right? So even if you went back and talked to yourself and told you not to do this, that, and the other, it might not have any effect on you here because it simply isn't your timeline. And maybe that's how we have avoided paradoxes, or this whole Mandela thing is because we have traveled across, and things have changed. And it's like a ripple, though. Think about this. You write your name in the sand on the beach, right? Dave. There's Dave, D-A-V. And that's in there. You've changed the beach. You've changed it. And then a wave comes and washes some of it. But there's still a little bit there. there's still I can still it's no longer the deep grooves that you left, but I can still make out Dave, right? And then there's another wave, and it washes away more and more until it's completely washed out, right? Unless I had some more permanent wave of affecting the beach, but even that might wash out after some time. And maybe that's what we're experiencing here, the washout effects of time. So time is sort of washing out events, right, that used to be there are no longer there. And as these waves of time propagate through our time stream, trying to make it easy to visualize here, it sort of washes away more and more of these things. In fact, initially when you come across this Mandela effect, for example, right, maybe you feel very strongly about it, right? Oh yeah, oh shit, oh my god, definitely. But then as time passes, and you don't talk to anyone about it, right? And you don't get any positive feedback from the experience. People call it crazy, whatever. It washes away. It's no longer as immediate as a memory. It sort of slowly but surely becomes part of the background, and then it's completely washed away until you find, of course, people that reinforce your belief and remember the same thing you do. So you have to it's like you have to keep writing Dave into the sand after every wave, otherwise you'll forget it. You have to remind each other of what used to happen in a way, right? And maybe the Egyptians, knew this. They could do this. Maybe other ancient societies understood this as well. Because if we are now inquiring into the space, then why would we think that someone else didn't? And maybe Kozyrev did kick open a door that explains a whole bunch of mysteries that we've been looking at. Just we didn't understand it because we think time is a certain way, but time is not like that at all. Time is not like that at all. Time is more malleable, or time doesn't exist at all the way we think it does, which I think is probably the most likely scenario, right? Time is only an illusion because we live and then we die, right? We seem to have a linear motion in our lives, which is, again, I think, an illusion, right? And being able to unravel this more and more, and being able to do this without being too much of an ass-kid, because the thing is, in order to really explore the multiverse, you have to become extremely adept at the arcane arts, and that is a lot of sacrifice. Whereas these mirrors seem to be a shortcut without drugs, Dave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Totally.
Anyway, that's what I think.
Well, that's okay. Well, I'm going to ask a question now. What are the steps to build a Kozyrev mirror?
Yeah, we have that for you. So if you've got a pen and paper, a Kozyrev mirror can be built by following these steps. First, a large cantilevered mirror is constructed to focus the vertical diversions from a synchrotron radiation source. Okay, the mirror is designed to be compact with a simple bending device and good thermal contact to structures outside the vacuum. Variable loading springs are used to reduce gravitational sag in the mirror. Next, a reflection film is formed using silver or on a substrate, followed by the formation of protective layers using aluminium oxide and a titanium compound. The reflection film is vapor deposited at a higher rate than the protective layers. Additionally, a method involving a rigid analytical space, superpotential function, and dual vibration is used to construct a mirror Landau-Ginzburg model. Finally, a faceted mirror with mirror facets is produced, and the angular difference of the optical axis for each mirror facet is determined and corrected for mounting. The easy way to do it is you buy some aluminium sheeting, you bend it in the shape of a Nautilus spiral, which is the Fibonacci sequence. You fasten it, you secure it to like a plywood base, if you will. And then you look at you have to electrify it as well. This is important, right? But for that, you need to look at the detailed building instructions online, which you can find. There's also in fact, on Google, there's a patent you can have a look at.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, you really just need the aluminium. Okay? It was really important, I guess, to understand that this is not a very expensive setup and easily achieved, and it's not super high tech either, which again leads me to believe that even our so-called primitive ancestors could have easily done this. Right? Well, maybe not easily, but it's not rocket science, and it's not a supercomputer.
It also reminds me, Becky, that the anti-gravity or gravitic engines, depending on who you are, is not an overcomplicated process. I think it's actually, it's potentially, there you go, potentially it's easy to create, except that anyone who might have done it, can't talk about the tale, and that it's been done before on Earth. And I think that's that kind of same thing. So this seems extraordinarily easy for what it is, and it's repeatable. Yeah. So I'd love to be able to see something like this. In fact, if you've got a roll of aluminium sheet that was already rolled into a cylinder, but maybe a couple of loops around the cylinder, then you could unravel it into the shape just enough. I think that would be the easier way to do it. So anyway, because I'm looking at the image of the patent, and that's kind of what it would look like. Then you just use what's called a brake to bend the 90 degree at the end. We've gotten down to remote viewing.
Yeah, I think we can start. It's not why is this here? Because essentially, the Kozyrev mirror was in many ways the USSR's answer to the CIA's remote viewing experiments that were taking place. Well, we don't know really when they started. I want to say 50s and 60s, but then it got really interesting in the 70s as well. Okay, so it's been going. The Americans probably started into this after the Russians, for various reasons. I think there was just the undercurrent of the occult. I think in America back then was weaker than in Russia.
Yes,
Russia was connected, I think, more to the
or maybe a willingness to accept and investigate.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Just more grounded in those matters. Anyway, remote viewing.
Yeah, remote viewing, RV it's called.
Yeah.
Is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject, purportedly sensing with the mind. Typically, a remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, an event, person or location that is hidden from physical view and separated at some distance. It can be the other side of the planet. Physicists Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff, paraphysiology researchers at Sanford Research Institute, SRI, are generally credited with coining the term remote viewing to distinguish it from the closely related concept of clairvoyance. According to Targ, the term was first suggested by Ingo Swann, gasp, in December 1971 during an experiment at the American Society of Psychical Research in New York City. Remote viewing experiments have historically been criticized for lack of proper controls and repeatability. There is no scientific evidence that remote viewing exists, and the topic of remote viewing is generally regarded as pseudoscience. Did you get this from Wikipedia? The idea of remote viewing received renewed attention in the 1990s upon the declassification of documents related to the Stargate project, a $20 million research program sponsored by the US government that attempted to determine potential military applications of psychic phenomena. The program ran, for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't run a program for 20 years if it's unsuccessful.
That's
the truth. From 1975 to 1995, and ended after evaluators reached the conclusion that remote viewers consistently failed to produce any actionable intelligence information. That's the public explanation.
Correct.
Now,
And
just who, Meki, do you remember who it was? Who was the best at it?
I think Uri Geller was good.
Uri Geller. He was registered as the one that was most successful. In Ghost Swan, certainly. But
We'll come across those guys as we come. But
ooh.
Oh yeah. Now this is the official definition and view of remote viewing that people have, and that is public consumed in Wikipedia. Absolutely. But there are I've taken in further elucidations further down. There are things taken from what's it called? Here we go. From Medium, which is a bit of an explanation. There's also a strategic analysis from the Journal of the IDSA, okay, which is which was a US-sponsored psychic spying operation. And then there was another text that we took from, here we go, from Columbia, University of Columbia, a CIA test. And then there was a follow-up on the US Central Intelligence remote viewing as well, which was taken from, I was Columbia as well, let me see. It was Columbia or not. But the point is, there's so much material here, and scientific material as well, it boggles the mind. I have to cut it down because there's just too much. There's a study here that was very detailed, and we can't share it with you all in detail because it just would take forever. So I'm going to cut that down significantly. But
with less than 3 minutes left. Or 3 minutes thereabouts.
But ultimately these are peer-reviewed articles. This was taken from a government site, www.ncbi.nlmi.nih.gov. Okay, and articles here, and then there's of course information on the Stargate project itself, which is fascinating. Always we've got information on Hal Puthoff, Russell Targ, Edwin May, Ingo Swann, and the other major players here. Ed Dames. Now these are, you will see. There's a lot here. Okay, we've got a Washington Post article. And I actually have drawn schematics for the mirror at the end here,
nice,
including the actual patent. Excellent. And this is translated from the Russian. Anyway, the point is it's fairly lengthy, and we only have a few minutes left here, so we won't be going into much further here. But let's suffice it to say that remote viewing, okay, is a thing. And you know what? Most people might not know this, but police departments across America and across the world, but specifically across America, are making use of psychics all the time.
That's right.
And the success rate of these psychics is embarrassingly high.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly, okay? So what does that mean? What it means is that what we think of as reality and the way we perceive reality, our senses as it were, right, are severe limitations to what actually is available for viewing or experience, right? And it's only a few, that are able to do this. You know what, Dave? I wonder how much Denisovan or Neanderthal DNA is present in people that have this gift.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we know that we have more than just our Homo sapiens DNA. We know this, right? I wonder, actually, you know what? We should be able to get a correlation, because the belief in these things is usually correlated with geographical locations. So certain areas of the world are more likely to believe these things than others.
Yeah, totally.
So I just wonder.
Well, see, in Australia, we had pointing the stick.
Yes.
Pointing the finger or pointing the bone, depending on where you were. And that when we did the original show on remote viewing, we also touched on remote killing.
Yes.
As one of those topics that were all wrapped up in that Montauk projects in Stargate. So it meant that you could kill someone and not be there.
And not be there. That's right.
You could do it remotely. And look, in Australia, the pointing of the bone, it might very well be twofold. It might be a portion of the former, and then also the a contributing factor could be the old placebo effect, because you believe it's happening. My goodness, is that it? Now this is David Mackey's Shiny Side Out at the end of the second hour. Do like, subscribe, and comment, and do all those things. Coming up next is Jeb's show, After Hours. And we're going to catch you also 7 a.m. Tuesday and Thursday mornings Eastern Time in the US for Plato's Cave. We'll catch you then. And in the meantime, stay safe.